Teresa Tilley from The Evil Dead.
And I'm Betsy Baker.
And you're watching Death Curse Society.
Shut up.
Rock and roll!
6 o'clock already, it was just in the middle of a dream. I was kissing Valentino by a crystal blue Italian stream. But I can't be late, cause then I guess I just won't get paid. These are the days when you wish your bed was already made. It's just another manic Monday. I wish it was Sunday, 'cause that's my fun day. My, I don't have to run late. It's just another manic Monday. I wish it was Sunday, 'cause that's my fun day. It's just another manic Monday.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another Monday Maniacs from Death Curse Society. I'm Redcranke, that's Zig Zag, and...
The Colonel is on assignment.
Motherfucker.
I thought you were going to introduce FaZe there for some reason.
Oh, no,
See,
not yet.
he's gone so long, I'm starting to forget the fucking Colonel. This is horrible, man.
I'm going to mention FaZe now, but we'll also introduce him in a minute. What's up? I'll start with FaZe. What's
What
up,
is up?
FaZe? How was your week?
Pretty uneventful, pretty chill. Watched 2 movies in a row. You know, it's one of those weeks for nothing went on.
Fair enough. Well, all right. Try not to be so boring, Zig Zag. How was your week?
Actually, I honestly, I don't really have much to put up a fight against that, man. It's all work all the time now. We're in season. We're open. But I did watch both movies. I did give it a day break in between the two. But, yeah, man, it's about for horror. That's about it.
All right. Wow. You guys.
Yeah.
Am I the entertaining person of the week?
What did you do,
What
Craig?
did you do?
Hey, I finally got a chance to stop by. I hadn't put this up yet, but I finally got a chance to stop by this little store in my town called Needful Things, which it's been open for a couple months. I've been wanting to get by there anyway, and picked up a little something there, a little sign from my bathroom. There we go. Oh, there we go. You wash your hands, bro. Yeah. Kind of goes along with the overall theme of don't get sick, wash your dick. So
I love that one.
So yeah. But yeah, shout out if you're in the Stillwater, Oklahoma area, check out Needful Things right on Main Street in Stillwater, and go visit those folks. Pretty cool folks. They do tarot readings too, so I may swing by there with a couple of friends and do some occultish shit.
Now, was there like a story told about that piece they sold you there when they sold it to you?
No, I didn't. I didn't
Possess
get.
your soul?
I didn't get any Leland Gaunt vibes
Right.
from the people. So
Was Max von Sydow there? What the fuck?
no.
Okay.
But yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go to that store, because I love that book,
Yeah.
and movie. So, yeah, cool little place stuff. And then the weekend came, and of course I worked both my gigs, Friday and Saturday. Friday outside, lovely evening, until I'm singing the last song. And as I'm singing the last song of the night, telling everybody good night, I feel bloop, bloop, 2 drops on my arm. And I kind of look up, kind of look back at the song, and I'm like, I only got like 5 minutes left. I think I can make this. Not even one verse into the song, like just a deluge of fluid from the sky. And yeah, half my shit got toasted. So
Oh,
I've already dropped a $1,000 yesterday just to replace a bunch of shit. So it was lovely, but it was kind of funny though, because most of the people that were still in the audience, which was kind of thinned down because the bar was closing anyway. And like everyone run to the stage and it's like, what can we do? And I'm like yanking plugs out and like, hey, this is loose, go, plugging something else. This is free, go.
so wait a minute. This is inside the stage. The roof gave out, or what happened?
Oh no, this is an outside show on Friday
All right.
with no coverage. And
Apparently, yeah.
yeah. But I had checked the weather all day and everything looked like, oh, we're good until like 4:30 in the morning. But then bloop, here comes this little, and it literally, it rained until we got all the shit inside and then just stopped.
That was that, huh?
Yeah. So it literally rained for like 6 minutes. And my laptop is toast. 2 of my microphones are toast. My phone is acting iffy. My phone, one of my tablets is toast. Yeah. Bad day. So
Real quick, volume up a little bit.
for me,
Yes.
still, damn.
Yes. Tarek was
Fine.
commenting.
I lowered mine considerably. How am I sounding, folks? Am I okay?
You're sounding okay. He says we're both okay. Crank needed to go up,
All right.
which I kind of agree.
All right. I just figured I'd be excited enough that it would be loud enough, but
Nope.
yeah.
Damn,
I ended up working my Saturday gig with the same gear, but I had to I swapped out a couple of old mics that were not great, and I swapped out I used the USB keyboard for my fried keyboard on my laptop, and barely got through like that show. But yeah, I've ordered a shit ton of new stuff for this week that hopefully will be here tomorrow.
Had a
So-
bad day. Can't
Yeah, that was a bad night.
fuck.
Yep.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah, entertaining though. Woo. So let's check the comments. I haven't even looked at the comments yet, and there's already 40 in there.
People are wanting to say what's up.
All right, we got Bill in there. We got Tarek. We got Grizzly. Oh, scroll past one. We got Joshua in there. We got Casteller. What's up, Casteller? Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for stopping by.
He's already putting in a vote too. And I may just call you Daniel, man, because I'm not sure I'm saying your first name right. If I am or am not, correct me. But Daniel,
It's Kesteler or Kestelar.
he says he loves the original. Most do. Most do.
Oh boy, we're gonna get into this for sure. Stick
We
around.
will get into it. So give us a little bit. We got to get through our introductory bullshit and getting to know you, because we hardly talk,
Right.
throughout the week, except for the occasional gaming nights, which are getting fewer and far between. There's Gina, there's Paula, there's Patricia. All right. Yep. Thank you. Thank you, Tarek, for the note about the mic. Hopefully we got it fixed. And Patricia says the same thing. Rick says, okay, need that shirt. This one is a member exclusive. So
Oh, see it now. I don't know. I guess we could probably raise the dead for said members if there's a request or something in there. We might be able to work something out that way. But yes,
you know what? He is a member, and he is in a tier that gets a shirt at the end of the year. So if this is the one you want, I'll make it happen. So there we go.
That's what I'm talking about. Instant service.
Yeah. I gotta look up when his year is up, though. Still need volume on me, Tarek?
Really? He sounds good in my ears.
To even it out, you could go up a notch. I do agree. It's
Now,
not too
Faith-
terrible.
It seems really hot.
All right, I'll touch it up
Goodbye.
just a little more.
Let me.
Joshua says, just ordered a Halloween Illustrated from Printed in Blood and told him the Death Curse Society recommended it. Hell yeah, we did.
Those guys already said, "Hey, thanks for the shout out and everything." But hey, you put out good products. It's easy for us to shout it out. Fuck, we're gonna buy the shit. The best
And,
shout out possible.
And Luke is here. He says there's a tornado coming. Yes, this is one of those other high weather nights in Oklahoma. So I'm watching some. I've got the weather on over here just to be safe. If I just disappear, I'll catch you next week, hopefully, folks.
I had a premium Wizard of Oz bit put together, and it got flagged, so I can't run it.
No.
Maybe on the Uncensored channel someday, another one for the pile, or another body for the fire, as they would say, Night of the Living Dead, man. But god damn it, it was funny.
Well, there is a tornado on the ground. At least there was when we went live, about an hour and a half west of me, coming this way. But I think it'll be probably head just a little bit north. So should be good. Probably get a little rain, probably get a little wind, but hopefully we're all right.
Just gonna go, just jet. Camera goes away.
Yeah. I may just bye. That's it. All right.
Fuck yeah, man.
All right. That looks like everybody. And Bill wants to know crank as fuck T-shirt when. Not sure.
Trying.
Dude,
We don't know.
I don't know what else it takes.
We've got an idea for it. We just have to find the right artist to make it
The
make it work.
masses have spoken. They want the CAF right now.
We got to get it right though. We can't just put out. Yeah. All right.
I'm on
Gang,
your
before we.
I want it too.
Oh hell yeah. Before we get into our topic at hand, we got to thank our friends and members and all the good stuff. Of course, special thanks to our final girls and guys, Chris, Lorena, BD, and Tyrone. Did we say happy birthday to Lorena last week?
Of course.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, we did.
All right. And thanks to our Crazy Ralphs, Bell's Fancy Creations, Dr. Smiley, Ray, and the whole damn enchilada pod. And
right.
of course, thanks to our camp counselors, 42nd Street Pete, Corey, Luke, Jimmy and Rachel, Stacy Lynn, Orlando, Patricia, Kristen, and JJ. Thank you, guys.
So let's see. Oh yeah, here
Yep,
we can.
you're going to have to do that.
We've decided that shit don't work good. That the claps we have, so everybody gets golf. Thank you. God damn it, thank you.
That's right.
I don't know. I don't know. How does it sound?
By the way, one of I couldn't hear it. One of our camp counselors that's on that list right there will be joining us next week on the show. We're going to do probably a pretty wild and extensive interview with 42nd Street Pete.
That's correct.
If you guys don't know, man is a bit of a legend in the world of Grindhouse and other aspects. So we're going to get down and chat with him.
Yeah, you sleaze and Grindhouse fans, this one's for you, man. You're going to love this guy.
Yep.
He's seen some shit, he's heard some shit, and he's probably going to talk some shit, so don't miss it.
So he doesn't talk too much shit, but, we'll see. We'll see how
We're
it
going
goes.
to get the dump button in full effect going on this shit, man, next week for sure.
Oh, we'll be fine.
He'll
It'll
be fine.
Yeah.
And as always, if you want to become a member, check out our website at deathcursesociety.com. Head on over to that membership page and see what tier you like. And of course, we can't get by without our associate producer, C-Phase, right over there in the corner. Yeah.
Right over here, bottom left corner. That's my spot. I
That's
love
his
it over
spot.
here.
It's a spot. He doesn't have to deal with anything except the occasional graphic that jumps over his face, just like that.
You know what? A little bit of Amy Steele. That's fine.
Oh, you want some Amy Steele? Hold on.
Yeah, put up the.
Boom.
Yeah, there we go.
Wow.
Woo!
She's not sitting where you think she's sitting in that picture. I'm just saying.
That's fine.
All right.
Sacred ground.
Anyway,
Prankster, yeah.
what the hell? What the hell does that mean?
What the hell is that supposed to mean?
Somebody just laugh react to the video right as that happened. I love it. Derek, I love you.
All right. Gang, this quickly became one of my favorite formats of the episodes that we do. It's original versus remake night, where we discuss a film that's had an original film and then a remake, and discuss the merits of both, which was better, which was worse, and try to maybe come to some kind of decision. The first one we did was easy.
But still, I am so dissatisfied with that episode, man.
Really?
Well, we buried, but its existence is still there, man. And I feel we failed the people on it, man. I think we really need to fuck this movie up more. I don't know. Maybe I got to just take this bitch on solo and just have it out. Just get my thoughts out on paper, on the fucking video camera, and just put it to bed for life. Because this shit, I don't know. I wasn't in the best space when we did that one, man. But anyway, my point is this one's completely different because it's not the
It's not clear cut.
Yeah, it's not a destruction of either one of them, you know?
Nope.
But I was very interested in how these two matched up and lined up and how they came to be. So,
yeah.
It's going to be totally different.
Okay. Now, you guys out there clearly can let us know. We've already gotten one vote for the original from Daniel. But let us know which one you prefer out there. We asked on our YouTube channel earlier this week or last week, which one do you prefer? And the original, Let the Right One In, dominatingly at like 89% was the overwhelming favorite.
I understand, but I don't know, Crank. I feel like maybe I've softened or I've grown in some way since these came out originally because I have a hard time really standing for either one of them.
Over the other?
Right. I mean, you'll see.
I'm kind of with that. I have a hard time picking two.
I like them both, but there's one for me that I appreciate more.
And we in the end, we're going to have to just go with one, die with one, right?
Well, no, I mean,
should probably.
We'll still have our preferences, of course, but our individual preferences. But
I mean, if
I don't. Well, maybe based on your softer but gentler side, maybe we will be able to come to a consensus. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
before we get into the real breakdown, though, that I've got like kind of set up, when did you see the original the first time? Do you remember when you saw it?
Was that a Shudder thing?
No.
No?
No. It came out in 2008. I mean, it probably was on Shudder at some point, but Shudder's only been around for like 5 years. So.
I remember reading about it. I probably could have been a Redbox thing, man. I used to hit that Redbox frequently back in the day, especially around that time.
Now, did Redbox have a lot of foreign films?
I think you could order it and they would ship that one to you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, are you thinking like the early Netflix?
Oh, dog, I'm talking the early fucking
Netflix
Redbox,
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Redbox, okay.
Redbox, yeah.
I got you.
I guess it was Netflix, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was before they streamed. They didn't have the fucking...
Right. Netflix was the one that sent the DVDs to you in the little thin envelopes.
God, I was in my radio days, 2003. I'll say it again, man. We were offered a $5 lifetime grandfathered in, never increase membership. And I went, this will never work. Mailing out DVDs, it's never going to work. I didn't know they were going to turn it into a fucking network. Could have been in there for $5 guaranteed.
Dude, I know somebody that just got their they just returned their DVDs for the last time. They were like, we can't get any more now. I know there's an older couple I know here in town. Well, I was watching their house while they were on a cruise the last couple of months.
Tarek, back me up on this, man. Do you remember that offer, the $5 Netflix offer, right when they launched that shit? They went through there with the cards for everybody. Oh man. It's like 2003, yo.
Now, did you see the remake when it came out in 2010, or did you see that later on?
Again, I think I talked to you about this last night. I think I went and saw it, but I was very interested in something else. I think I was on a first date or something like that. So
what was interesting? What was interesting to you outside of the movie?
Well,
Oh.
Probably after the movie.
Oh. Okay.
But
You know what he's talking about.
you know what I mean. But I mean, even early back then, you ended up getting out of the movie and got. You know what I mean? Nothing.
Well, there you go.
But again, so I mean, I saw it, but I remember thinking I had a harder stance against it. I was like, this is another. I know what this is going to be. They're going to remake this fucking thing and ruin it, much like they've done to many of the, The Ring comes to mind, The Grudge, all that shit. And I just went, not again. I just why even bother with this? But Matt Reeves, the director, so this guy is another guy that's a decent filmmaker, and
He's a good filmmaker. He's grown a lot in the last 10 years,
yep,
15 years.
well, fuck, he just made one of the best Batman movies, arguably of all time. They say,
Yeah.
But they asked for essentially an American version of this story, this Swedish book that became the movie that became the American remake.
Well, the American version was already licensed before the Swedish one even came out.
Our friends at Hammer Films got right on it. They saw it. They knew. So, I mean, I was very skeptical. I'll leave it at that. Skeptical. Perfect word. Expecting disappointment.
Uh-oh. No, I was just glancing. I saw a comment about Luke is keeping an eye on my my area. So, but since he said that, I kind of glanced over to see where the storm trackers were, and they're south of me. It looks like Perkins. Yep, there we go. Christopher says he watched it on Netflix. I'm just curious if I didn't see this back in 08 or 010, or back in 08 or 2010. I probably saw both of these movies around the time that we started the show. Maybe during that year of prep that we had is probably when I saw this. So like 16, 17, somewhere in there.
18, yeah, okay.
Yeah. But I like both of these films, but I do have a favorite. So, and it's gonna be very clear as we move on with this.
I know you're very fond of one of the players of a
because she's one of the finest fucking actresses out there of this fucking century, dude.
It's very good.
So, there we go. Man, the old school mail-in Netflix talk brings back memories. Can't wait for my buddy 42nd Street Pete to join you guys. Awesome combination.
That should be crazy, man. He's got stories. We like to hear them, and then we've got questions that could lead to more fucking crazy stories. So
he likes to tell them.
He likes to tell them. And a history like this should be shared. I wholeheartely agree. The underground grindhouse needs a little light shined on it once in a while just to get the stink blown out of there. You know what I mean?
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Tarek's got a good quote about both these movies here. Film critic Mark Kermode sounded right when he said, "Let the Right One In" is about kids that happens to have vampires in it, and "Let Me In" is a film about vampires that happens to have kids in it. I know what he's going for there. I tend to disagree a little bit.
I tend to think he wrote that trying to be a little clever.
Right.
Honestly, yeah.
Right.
Especially after just freshly watching these, so.
Now, previously, you seem to have had a favorite, but maybe that has changed a little. Is that what you're saying after the rewatch?
I thought the original, I really dug what it was.
Mm-hmm.
I really dug the bully aspect of it. It was so tangible. It's so real. And Oscar does a great job in displaying that.
Mm-hmm.
God damn it! It's
Owen.
Owen is his other one, yeah, and he's better. He's better at it, but it's the same. It's still the same mission. That's what I'm saying, and the only thing that's really fucked up about this is the culture, man. And I'm not that down with Swedish culture. I'm not that down with their dialect at all. So, I mean, I've watched a lot of Korean horror and a lot of Jap horror, and I think I'm used to it. I'm used to those, man. So, like, watching a Swedish movie, like, subtitle, it's just like, it's really strange for me. And then the culture is just different. How things look different. So those were the main things that when you put them up next to each other stand out are the culture differences and how they adapted it to modern America dysfunctional bullshit, which is very, very real.
Right. All right. Well, let's get into it because I got some categories to go through here tonight, baby. I don't know if you looked at these or not, but
I did not.
I don't know where they were.
2 pages of notes here, and that's what I got.
that's all you got? I'm gonna have a hard time reading some of my notes. I have a bad feeling, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Let's talk about the opening scene first because they do start differently.
Yes.
So Ziggy? Actually, Ziggy, you start, and I'm sweating balls off in here. I'm gonna go turn the AC down a little bit. I may even turn that fan on, but for some reason, I know it's partially because it's humid as fuck outside, but I need some more air movement in here. So I'll be right back. Start about the opening scene, though, please.
I will, yes, I will. And I'm going to throw a curve and start with the new one. Opening scene. Let's see what he says about that. The first thing I noticed right away, it almost has like the music very much sounds like the beginning to Sepultura Roots when it's coming in, the tribal drums. You'd have to listen to this phase. I don't know if you're familiar, but
I am familiar, but
yes.
I didn't catch on to that when I was watching this, though. I didn't make that connection.
It's kind of the tone.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though. Like, that makes sense.
What we start with here, we have a man in a hospital and a cop wanting to ask questions to why he's got a burned face. He's burned to fuck. He's all burned up. And he comes out and they say, well, hey, there's a little girl that came to see him. And he was like, what little girl? Somebody screams and there's horror. Like he has jumped out the window. And a notepad says, sorry, Abby. I'm sorry. And that's it. That's how they start. This is the new one, Crank. I did a curve and started on the let me in.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how. And yeah, it's funny because the other one does start a little bit differently. I mean, I don't know, Crank. How does that one start, real quick?
The original. Basically, the original. Hold on. Let the Right One In kind of starts with Oscar practicing dealing with the bullies in his mind as Eli moves in. I see why they did the different scene, though. That's kind of a trend with American films, is that non-linear aspect of the opening scene, especially.
Yeah, like, what the fuck?
Right. You need that jarring moment or that surprise moment at the top to get people's interest for the next 90 minutes or so. It's a tactic employed by filmmakers and a huge trend at the time and still, even to this day, I do think it's a little overused as a tactic overall, but most of the time it works. Had the script for Let Me In started with a lonely half-naked boy staring out his window at a little girl and her dad move into an apartment building, it probably would have never been made, honestly. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's the major differences in the opening scenes, though, I mean, you get that opening scene a little bit later.
A little later, yeah. They it's in there. You end up at the same place. That's what I was saying before you sat down.
I like the fact that Let Me In starts with that mystery of what is going on in the hospital because later on, that hospital scene has a little more tension to it, in my opinion. A lot of people say, well, it takes attention out of it because something's going to happen. Yeah, something's going to happen, but that's part of it. You're like, oh shit, like what is going to happen?
Well, see, I think everyone has a point there that has seen Let the Right One In because by now you've already figured out when they show that they're pretty much following this thing. Every main beat of Let the Right One In shows up in Let Me In.
And they do.
And
it
fine.
does.
And it's fine.
You know, a lot of remakes don't do that, which I think is one of the reasons why we complain about some of these remakes, is because they do go off on their own tangent sometimes. You know?
Yeah. Yes.
Would we appreciate more remakes like this that are not necessarily shot for shot, but closer to the source material?
I honestly thought this appealed to me way more than some of, like, especially the Rings and the Grudge and all that stuff that came over and got translated. You know, I'm still sick to my stomach over Trained in New York or Brooklyn or whatever the fuck they're calling it now. And
Last train to Brooklyn, I think it is.
Doesn't that just sound awful?
You know what?
Not
Honestly,
right.
after revisiting these two, I don't know.
I have hope, at least a little bit after watching these two again.
Right. Well, there's another one coming out this year, See No Evil. Or Speak No Evil, excuse me, Speak No Evil. That's based on a movie just 2 years ago. So that's another one that's going to be kind of... I mean, because everybody that I've been to the theater with over the last couple of weeks and that trailer is played, they're like, oh, that looks pretty interesting. I was like, oh, you should see the original. And they're like, oh, this is a remake? And I'm like, yeah, it just came out like 2 years ago. Whoa, 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 whoa. But they're not cinephiles like we are, so...
What'd you call me?
I get it.
Oh.
You heard me. Get your finger out of that cinna. Whatever that means. All right, so did the difference in... Don't smell it. Did the difference in the opening scene, bother you? Or that
No.
it didn't start like the original? Or that it,
Because it felt familiar still. And because I, obviously just seen it again, and I was just going, okay, this is out of sequence though, right? It's obvious.
Mm-hmm.
But then I'm like, all right, cool. So we're getting a little bit of here. We're going to go back, and then 2 weeks earlier or whatever it is.
Right.
But yeah, it didn't bother me. No.
All right.
Did it bother you?
No. Like I said, I actually preferred... I liked that the opening scene was different. But...
You got a little
I'm
bit
okay
of
with
introduction. In the original, it was him looking in the mirror, calling himself Piggy, obviously what the bullies call him,
Right.
and he's threatening himself in the mirror. I don't know, man. It's just relatable, It seemed...
Somebody needs to mute their phone.
That wasn't me.
I know it wasn't you. But I just heard a whoa.
Great.
That's Ziggy.
I was trying to yammer over it while it was going. That thing is just too long. Sorry.
All right. Well, let's move on to the let's move on to the next topic here that I wanted to kind of dissect as we move ahead. Let's talk about character introductions. Both films handle the introductions of their major character in pretty much a similar way. With both films find subtlety throughout with these characters, which I do appreciate. Oscar and Owen are both trying to build up confidence to deal with their respective bullies, but cower when the opportunity faces them. Likewise, Ellie and Abby are introduced in the same mysterious manner, arriving at night while being watched by their young neighbor. And then when the two main characters meet in the courtyard, the scenes play out nearly identically. Now, as will be made very clear throughout this episode, I clearly prefer most of the scenes in Let Me In, primarily due to the casting of Chloe Grace Moretz and Cody Smith McPhee. Without having seen the previous film, both of these actors, and they've said they did not see the previous film before they made this movie. Now, granted, they were like 10 or 12 years old when they made it, so I don't think I'd let my 10-year-old watch this. Either one of these. But both actors take the same source material, and I think in Let Me In, elevate it beyond what was originally offered in the Swedish film. I like the actors in the original. but they didn't seem to portray as many of the emotions, and even in some of the subtle ways, as their counterparts in the remake did, for me, at least. Counterpoint.
I'm counterpointing. There's a simplicity to the original.
There is,
and it again, I'm sure some is lost in translation here because I'm not familiar with how but there are times when it does reach over and the emotion is there. And, especially when he's kind of like talking shit to her, like, who said I wanted to be your friend anyway? I mean, like when he did stuff like that, it crossed over. But I agree with you. I do think it was acted better. I think that both talents far exceeded the two Swedish actors, but there's just a simplicity
point for me.
Wholesome. And I loved it, man. It works. It just very much works. So
it is.
Yeah. It's not really an argument. It's just more an observation, I think.
Right. Like I said, I like the performers in the original as well, but I just think overall,
I have to agree.
And
they're better. They're better actors. They are clearly better actors. I think that movie, Let the Right One In, was as independent as they come. Probably. I mean,
they still gave a good performance for an indie film.
Yeah.
Trust me, we've seen worse.
Oh,
Born. You mentioned one of them last night.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. And anything to add on the character intros? We'll get more into like the subtleties of the acting and the characters in a minute, but if we need to,
it's just good because even in both of them, you don't really the guardian, the father figure for Abby and Eli, it's creepy and menacing. And it's very good. So I like the way they did bring it out. And then you start to see completely the opposite of what they painted them to be. Very good in both films too.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and I have not read the book, but I've heard that there's a pedophile element to Hakar. How do you say his name? Hanek. What is his damn name?
I don't know.
The dad. Or the guardian.
Right. I don't remember his name.
Come through in the either film, really.
Yeah. There's more blatant pedophilia concerning them in the book, from what I understand.
Let's face it, man. John Candy said it best in Splash. All the finest erotica and weird shit comes out of Sweden. That's just a fact.
Ew. I didn't know we were going to make a Splash reference today, but...
Oh, there you go. John Candy, rest in peace, man.
John Candy. Hakan, yes. I think that's it. Thank you, Tarek. All right, let's get into the plot and changes, because the stories are pretty much the same, except for some minor shit. One thing that does seem to change for me is actually the motivations of the main characters. And I'll try to briefly explain. And Let the Right One In, Oscar is the real evil figure, but he's just not fully formed yet. And again, this is what I take from this movie. When Ellie meets him, she realizes that he could be useful as a new caretaker when Hakan becomes obsolete, which happens sooner rather than later. And in the remake, Chloe Grace Moretz plays it slightly more... This is a terrible word to use after just mentioning pedophilia, but seductively. And I don't mean seductively in a sexual context. I just mean in a like alluring way. Yeah, you heard me. She's just reeling Owen in because she knows Hakan is getting tired and old, and she's seen it happen before and is preparing for it to happen again. I think in this respect, Chloe is kind of the evil of Let Me In, while Oscar is the evil in Let the Right One In. Well, what do you think, Ziggy? That's just one difference too.
Oh yeah, I don't think Oscar or Owen are evil at all. I think
Oscar is on his way to psychopathia. His psychopathic actions.
I see two kids that have been pushed so far, bullied so hard, and getting no support from the parental units either way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that, God damn it, that let me in. It's heartbreaking when he talks to his dad. You know what I mean? It's devastating. His dude just don't give a fuck, man. And it's just like he's really, really reaching out, and there's just nothing there, man. And it's like,
but he's keeping clippings of other murders in the neighborhood and things like that, and like he's got a scrapbook of death, and next thing he's gonna do is like torture a cat to death. He just hasn't found a cat yet. He didn't go to that one girl's house that had all the cats that attack her later, which we will talk about. Jesus Christ, I hate that scene.
Yeah, that was weird.
But he is, even before Ellie shows up, Oscar is well on his way to sociopath, murder, probably serial murderer, in my opinion. Owen, not so much in the remake. I think Owen would just be go ahead and take a drink. I'll keep talking. I think Owen would just be one of those wallflowers that gets walked over for the majority of their life.
Mm.
Anyway,
I think
counterpoint.
Oscar's life is less tragic. He probably shouldn't be such a bitch. Yeah, I see you got. It's a good point. He's got a scrapbook of this kind of thing. But again, man, if you're getting fucking dicked around so much, dude, that's your only outlet is to fantasize about taking out the people fucking with you, man.
Well, did you get bullied when you were a kid?
Little bit, sure. Everybody,
Yeah.
I think.
Did you keep a scrapbook of murders and other crimes
No.
in your neighborhood?
I certainly fantasized murder, though. I mean, 100%.
Sure, but I got bullied when I was a kid. I didn't keep a scrapbook. So
did you have a telescope putting out your window? That's usually
I did not have a telescope. That was a creepy touch too. But
we had a guy try to bully us in junior high. Two of us. And we were like, all right, let's go outside, all three of us. And all of a sudden he was too busy to do it, so it was all, so that was, the first one kind of sucked, man. But again, now that guy was the psychopath, man, this is the guy that had an uncle putting a digit in and he didn't want it and stuff. So he's taking it out on everybody else smaller than him,
Are you talking about the bully?
Yeah.
In which one?
No. I'm talking the one I had to deal with,
Oh, okay.
I didn't know who the fuck he was. Just to get randomly kind of fucked with, choked. Really, I got choked, like one of these.
What were some other differences in the movies that you liked, Ziggy, or noticed at least?
I appreciate.
How did you feel?
Yeah, because that was what was taking me out of the original was the Swedish culture. I just couldn't. I can fucking accept it and I see it, but I don't get it. A lot of it. So
what was the problem? What was the thing that stood out to you that like took you out so much? Just their dialect?
Just some of the dialect, and it's funny because even when I was in gym class, we all put on the matching fucking shorts and shirts and shit and had to go out there and the swimming and everything. Mm-hmm. All real. I guess they don't do that now too much.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think PE is a thing anymore. Somebody brought up a little side note. Somebody brought up Field Day recently. Do you remember Field Day?
Yeah, the ribbons and shit for sure. Fuck yeah.
Everyone had to run like the 50 meter, the 100 meter, the long jump, the tosses.
This is like 1983 when this movie takes place. So that's right around that time. That's where I would be. Mm-hmm. I'd be right in the Field Day days.
Right.
But anyway. Breaking it over to Let Me In, and Owens, it's devastating. He's got fighting parents. They're having a divorce going to happen, and they're just vicious to each other. And she's preoccupied with this, so it's just he's getting bullied at school. He gets whipped in the face so bad he gets cut. He says, I fell down. Oh, be more careful, love. You got to be more careful. And then off she goes back to her room. So it's that kind of shit, just that kind of parenting and stuff. And
there was a kind of a religious aspect to the mother in the remake too, though, which they played with a little bit, like especially when
Because,
Owen tries to call the dad and ask, can people be
Yes.
evil? And he's like, "Ah, shit, is your mother getting in your head again? God damn it!" Blah, 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 blah.
Yep, she's got to
Don't
stop.
listen to that religious shit.
She's got to
But-
stop it. Yeah.
I think that was a minor part of it, but I think part of that was, since it was 83, I doubt the Swedes had something called satanic panic like we did. We talked about this a few months ago on this show.
They had the
That-
black metal thing going on there.
That was but here it was satanic panic, and that was a big
Right.
thing in the early 80s and all through the 80s, really, And the fact that Matt Reeves kind of intertwines that while also setting it in 83 during Reagan's evil empire speech at the beginning, and all these little things, Of course, the music is always, there for, nostalgia reasons, and to put you back in that time frame, when they go to the arcade, especially in Let Me In, and the,
lot of Bowie.
two culture club songs play,
Yeah.
and the person behind the counter looks like somebody out of Culture Club, so it looks like Boy George. He's got that little dread or whatever that's hanging down when he takes the money. And I think, no, maybe not. Either that one or the kid at the gas station that is the cashier is Chloe Grace Moretz's real brother. I think.
Oh, right.
One of those two. I'm not sure who, though. But, I know that's kind of common when, the music, the clothing, the arcade games, etc., but there was one point I liked the PSA that's on TV. It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your kids are?
Yep.
But the great thing about that shot is the reflection of the door with Owen leaving and the door closing and that being on the screen. It's such a great shot. And I remember those. Any unexplained death, mutation, or pretty much any crime was attributed to that cultural scare of the satanic panic. So I don't think that's that far of a stretch for the filmmaker, especially an American filmmaker, to play with that in this instance.
Yeah.
So,
It
I
doesn't,
like
no existing, it's not in the original at all in any capacity. They just that's the huge difference was putting those parents were just so horrible, man. God,
they were all bad.
I was just going like, you see, Colonel, now that is bad parenting. He's always so down on himself. He's the best fucking dad on the fucking planet. I mean, this fucking guy, and there's people like this walking around that are in real life too. I'm sure, not just the fucking movies, but it breaks your heart because the kid just needs a fucking hug, pretty much, man, from one of his fucking parents, and he just can't get it. I bought it there. I was like, you know what? I want to hug that fucking kid. Come here.
Yeah, that kid needs a bunch of hugs. Well, you got another difference there, Ziggy? You want to talk about? I've got a list of them. If you,
Oh, I know, man. I thought
You do?
the bullies are much dickier. In
Oh.
the remake. You can go there if you want.
but they're more set in reality for America.
Again.
That's the guy I had to fucking deal with.
Really?
That's exactly one of the guys I had to deal with, except he was like a foot taller.
Amazing. I mean,
I was a little midget until I hit like 9th grade, and then I sprouted. But
and you get to see why this dude Kenny is such a dickhead.
right,
Yeah. It's
yeah. And
He's-
Connie in the original doesn't have that relationship with his brother.
Well, they don't show it like that. But
They don't show it, at least.
it's
But
almost like an honor thing. He has to do it. This guy's a fucking psychopath in the new
yeah,
one.
Kenny is absolutely like, definitely getting, abused at home
Yeah.
and just carries it over to, school where he can be the abuser. So
That was one of my notes. Is like, who's the bad guy beating up the bully, and then Well, obviously, later on, we discover, the brother. There it is. Yeah.
It's not the way you described it last night.
No, but I already used that joke tonight, so yeah.
Where's that finger go?
Yeah.
All right. Another big difference in the two films is the way the character of Hakan finds and captures his victims. In the original, his tactics are basic but get the job done. He just finds someone walking in a secluded area and grabs them, with a little drug. And Let Me In, I think Richard Jenkins' portrayal was far more terrifying and more fitting for an American audience, I will say. The idea of someone being in the back seat was a growing concern in the 80s, and it's part of the American culture. So it fits. Now, I don't know. Did Sweden have a urban legend of people hiding in the back seat of their cars? I don't know.
Do you remember Swedish cars back then?
They didn't even have a back seat.
Right. You know what I mean? There was nobody fitting in the fucking car. They didn't have to worry about that shit. So that's why that wasn't there. I thought it was a great touch. The bag, he wears a black bag on his face with the eyes cut out. It's terrifying. So, I mean,
It did look freaky.
Yeah.
They did a good job with that.
Yeah. That back seat thing, though, is also played up in a 90s, classic horror film, I Know What You Did Last Summer. So. Or no, Urban Legend. Urban Legend.
Well, I mean, that's
one of the two.
They put this shit on its ear because instead of him, you're just waiting for him to sit up and attack this guy that he wants to get his blood. And then he stops and picks up, hey, my ride left. Can you give me a ride home? So the
Dude, I love that. I love that second one.
Huh?
I love that second abduction because it's so tense, dude.
I mean, it puts you in like the back seat, like, oh my God,
Right.
how the hell did they do that, man? I mean, it's like not even feeling bad for the fucking killer and shit, dude. It's brilliant.
Now, the second abduction in the original was good too, but there's not a whole lot of tension except for, they found him. He's in this room. They're knocking on the door. Oh, they're beating on the door. It just the stakes felt higher in Let Me In.
And this one ends with a fucking inside the car crash. That's fucking awesome.
A great crash scene. Great crash scene.
So I mean,
I think altering that character in that fashion makes that second abduction scene a lot more tense because we know he's going to be discovered at some point by one of the boys. We just don't know when. And by the time he is, shit's on, and I loved it.
Instead of taking, he can't be discovered because he knows if they figure him out, they're going to figure out where he lives and they're going to figure out that Abby is there at the house or wherever he's from. And so he takes the acid and Freddy's himself. And it was, and then it kind of catches us up to where it starts at that point. And Let Me In. Because they never,
Right.
That part just transpires where he's going to get caught. There's no getting away. So he takes the acid and just does it to himself again. Just like, ends up in the same place, a hospital high up.
Right.
Which, again, like a lot like Annabelle. With remember the.
You mean Abigail?
Abigail. Damn. Abigail.
Let me point out another difference that I like better in Let Me In, and I'll explain why. Who is on the vampire's trail, basically, during this movie? In Let the Right One In, it's just some drunk whose friends have been attacked, and he's looking for revenge, which, okay, I can buy that in a way, but it seems weird to me. In Let Me In, it's a detective that's trying to solve a series of murders and disappearances, which honestly makes more sense to me. And I'll go even further because I love Elias Koteas in anything he does.
Yeah.
He's just underutilized in this, but he plays it well. So.
And he didn't deserve it either, but I mean, I didn't. The other guy was kind of like, "Fuck you," what are you doing?
I mean, none of these people really deserved that.
We could have left things alone, though. I mean, when it gets to that point, once you realize what is happening, why would you fuck with that? You know what I mean?
At least none of the victims, the guy that acided his face, deserved to do that.
I felt bad for him too, but I couldn't get over Step Brothers. He's the dad in Step Brothers, and it's fucking hysterical.
Richard Jenkins?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, it was his birthday a couple days ago, so happy birthday to Richard Jenkins.
Damn, everybody born early May.
Yeah. One more little difference that I wanted to point out was there's a slight difference in between the scenes where Ellie and Abby enter Oscar's and Owen's apartment without an invitation. And in the original, Ellie is kind of goaded into entering by Oscar. And in the remake, Abby kind of enters on her own, almost not necessarily as a test because she knows he's going to save her. And so she's almost just doing it to prove a point that Owen would never allow anything to hurt her. And I thought that was a good touch.
I don't think Oscar believed she was really a vampire at that point until that drove it the fuck home. I mean, okay. I mean,
but that comes back to my point about the motivations for the characters, especially Ellie and Abby, were different in the two movies. Maybe not by a bunch, but they were different.
I see two damaged little boys.
Well, of course.
Yes.
Grizzly says one of the big ones in Let Me In is it spelled out how long the caretaker has been with her. Yes, I have some things to say about that later on. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, because that kind of took me aback. I had to stop and look at that again. I was like, oh, okay, and
I mean, they allude to it.
Yeah, but
the
I
other
was
one,
like,
but
what's that? And then I was like, oh,
dude, I kind of like. I can't really talk about that yet. That's for later.
All right.
Some of the things about characters and acting. Let's jump into that. As I've stated, I think Chloe Grace is one of the finest young actors of the century. And with this role, she won multiple Breaking Artist and Newcomer Awards from multiple outlets and probably deserved every single one of them. Cody, as Owen, is equally as good. And for two 12-year-old actors to carry a film like this is a very rare treat. In their early scenes together, I love the singular attitude of like avoidance and distance that Abby shows to Owen. But even in the early scenes, when Owen turns her back to Abby, you can see a little more of her loneliness and longing kind of sneak through. In the original, I wasn't so impressed with those kind of subtle moments. I mean, they were still there. They just weren't as well done, in my opinion. But I also think Owen showed growth in the character throughout the film, starting as a cowering bully to someone who can occasionally stand up for himself, even if he does return to a cowering figure near the end of the film. You can kind of feel that sense of connection that he gets with Abby and doesn't with anyone else, especially his family. Any points to make about acting and the characters that we haven't already talked about there, Ziggy?
I mean, you got it pretty solid, man. But the old one, man, that fucking really sucks. I mean, and I know nothing about aesthetics of the 80s in Sweden. You know what I mean? That's the other thing that I was, but I mean, again, just, it was so much simpler, but I mean, the one thing they really got through to me and I liked a lot were these fucking guys, these caretakers were fucking tired.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking done with this. And
both of them were.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think the whole point all along, even though I do believe that, Abby was a bit more like, you know what? I kind of enjoying this contact with this person, but I think the whole thing all along was to pretty soon get a new caretaker. That became the mission in both.
Well, there's definitely and while I like the acting from Lena Lee Anderson and Kari Hildebrandt in the original as the two young actors, their performances just don't seem to be as emotionally deep to me. Now, that may be because I identify a little bit more with the American characters in the remake, because there's that innocence and longing in those characters that I think we can all relate to, especially at that age. I mean, we all remember those long nights on the phone when we were, you know, in those kid love relationships or whatever you want to call them. You know, who was going to hang up first? Don't hang up. Just put the phone next to you and let me listen to you sleep while I go to sleep. You know, that kind of shit. You know, you remember those days? You know, maybe. Okay, Ziggy's not a romantic.
I never did that one. I never kept the phone next to me. You know, I was the guy that would be like, "All right, bye," click.
See, the thing is, for me,
and have some other hoe on another line. Oh, hey,
oh my
what's going
god,
on?
Oh, come on,
god damn it!
Rep.
Huh? Damn it.
The romance in this movie, in both of these movies, for me was weird. I don't know. I wasn't believing the 12-year-old and the 12-year-old. If you get my gist,
Right.
and the writing of the romance, even if they were just two 12-year-olds, it was a little clunky for me. I don't know. We'll get into that a little later.
It's not necessarily a romance, but it's just that connection and loneliness that
Companionship.
companionship that they're both able to kind of, you know, experience out, away from. Yeah, you can call that romance if you want, but
This is labeled a romance horror.
absolutely it is.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I mean it is, but I mean, I think a lot of it hung on both Abby and Ellie, you know, as the vampires, and I thought they did pretty good with the experience thing, being vampires a long time. Maybe not.
It was subtle.
Yes, they never like went right out and said, "Oh, I've been 300 years" or anything like Abigail.
Right.
How old did they ever establish how old Ellie, or I already forgot to let me in one name?
They didn't officially. No. Chloe, as an actress, kept a diary on set. This was a recommendation from the director, from Matt Reeves. He asked the characters to keep a diary in character on set, and she came up with a backstory that her character was 200 to 300 years old and was turned by her uncle. Now, there is more in the book that was left out, especially of the original, but, well, no. It is left out in the original, but there is a moment where you kind of see something that explains her turning, but nothing in the movies themselves are spelled out. So, since we're talking about acting, let's do it. Ellie versus Abby. Your thoughts?
We know where you're at on this, so I mean, yeah. Again, I'm going to keep saying it: simplicity, but delivered masterfully. Or if these are amateur actors, they really they understood the homework assignment, and I thought they did well in Sweden over there. Obviously, they went and got the best they could get to do what was available. They picked the top of the fucking list for both characters, Abby and fucking Owen, and they obviously knocked it out of the park a little bit better. It's funny. I don't know, man. You're saying neither one of them saw the source material before. I don't know.
That's what they say. Now, clearly Matt did, because he pretty much duplicated multiple shots, multiple scenes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And one thing I noticed the other night was he duplicated them, but he mirrored a bunch of them. Did you notice that?
There was a lot of layers and stuff on things I thought that were different from the original, you know?
No, I mean, he physically, like, if Owen was on this side of the screen.
Right, they were literally mirrored.
And you know, Abby was on this side. In the original, it was Oscar on this side and Ellie on this side. But it's the same fucking scene.
Yeah, but there were lots of in glass, in mirrors and shit, too, with that.
But they do that a lot.
Okay.
He does this a lot. Like the final scene, the opening scene in the courtyard where he's stabbing the tree. You know, in one he's stabbing this way, and the other he's stabbing this way. It's bizarre. Just fast forward through some of it, you know, and you'll see. It's freaking bizarre, man. Once I saw like 2 or 3 cases of it, I was kind of like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And I started paying more attention. I was like, weird, but so
like he had no problem changing some of the angles, but he apparently had a problem changing some of the script because, dude, I'm telling you, 90% of the script was the same.
it's identical.
It's practically identical. Like, fuck.
All the beats, the biggest beats are in both films.
It's almost as bad as the what was it, 2006, the Omen remake?
No, Jesus.
Was that when that was?
I think so.
Whenever it was.
That
But
that lacked in many levels.
But the script was
Copied off the
identical. It was so identical that the guy who wrote the remake script lost the legal battle with the Writers Guild to have his name on there. The original writer from the 60s movie is credited with writing the remake.
Way to go.
That's how close that one is.
And it's still not anywhere near as good.
If Let the Right One In had been an American film also, there'd probably be a battle over that. But since it's a Swedish film, it doesn't have anything to do with the Writers Guild, so at least not WGA of America. So
Well, they had to have something going on because Hammer bought those rights right away. They said
they bought the rights, but I mean
rights.
The author or the screenwriter of the original couldn't lobby or sue, legal action to get credit on the remake.
They offered they offered it to the other director. He said no.
Yeah, and he turned it down. I don't want to remake my own film. I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
2 years later, for crying out loud, like
That has to be a bit of a huh?
Yeah. Well, like I said, though, the rights were even grabbed before the movie was released. It had been on like 2 festivals or something like that. And hey, we want to do this too. To stay on Ellie versus Abby for a minute, I think the understanding and maturity that Chloe Grace Moretz brings to all of her characters, really, at such a young age is beyond impressive. Lee Anderson is quite good as well, but I got to give the edge to Chloe Grace on this one because she's my girl.
She looked.
Who do you give the edge to, acting wise? Ellie versus Abby. Who do you give the edge to?
Are you asking
Ellie
me
versus
or
Abby?
FaZe?
Both of you.
Okay, go ahead, FaZe.
that is for this one. It's difficult. I mean, for the boy, it's a lot easier for me, but I lean slightly Ellie, very slightly. I don't even have like good reasons for it. That's how I'm feeling.
I'm going to give
Ziggy?
Abby a tick for the win, just based on her in vampire mode makeup and stuff, and how she played it when she was in vampire mode.
Right.
I thought she did because they didn't really do any of the crazy eyes or anything on Ellie or anything.
All right.
The really violent scenes were a lot better with Ellie. I'll say that.
Okay, fair enough. I think Grizzly said something about that a minute ago. Where was that? Yep.
Yeah, that final scene.
I like how much bloodier the original was, though.
Mm.
Obviously, that's going to go a long way with me, for sure.
Like during the scenes where she's attacking some people, like they use like that speed up technique in the remake that I don't really like too much. They didn't do that in the Swedish version. It was a lot more authentic. I like that.
Yeah, fair enough.
That's more the director than the actor, though. But still,
Yeah, I excuse that, but I understand the that being a distraction or a detractor for the film.
it was for me.
Yeah. Luke says, tornado on the ground moving north of you. You'll be good going towards Perry. Yeah, Perry is about 30 miles west of me. So that thing has gotten a little, about an hour closer in about an hour. So,
All right.
yeah, it should be, it's basically about right there right now. And
Right next to Amy Steele's face.
Right next to Amy Steele's face. And we'll go that way. So, let me see if there's any other comments here.
Well, we're waiting.
Tarek
nice
says
way
both
to-
were, Tarek says
Yeah.
both were great. The language barrier creates too much of a bias for me. I could translate Chloe's emoting better. All right, fair enough. And like I said, maybe that's why I relate a little bit more to the American version.
Sure.
I don't know. Grizzly says, I thought the bare feet really pointed out in Let Me In, and then the I forgot how to be cold. They did drive that point home quite a bit in the remake. I will admit.
Said, I don't get cold in the other one.
Yeah, I will admit that's probably one thing I don't like too much. Yeah, welcome, Alex. We're comparing those movies, so.
Alex. Fucking Alex.
All right. Like Ellie versus Abby, how about Oscar versus Owen?
This is easy. Owen.
Why?
He's just way more of a deep actor than the guy who played Oscar was. And I felt the Oscar character looked like they had to do some quick edits on some of his stuff. A lot. And that camera stayed locked on Owen most of the time when he was delivering. So
Sure.
that's what I noticed. Phase?
There we go. Yep.
I
Phase.
mean, I'll agree with that. Owen's like actor was clearly more like professional for obvious reasons, but I mean, I'm saying Oscar, but it's another close one. I just liked Oscar more. I guess I don't know.
Huh.
Oh,
Okay.
like Owen was just almost a little too. Like I don't know if it was in the script or in the directing, but it's just almost like too like I can't even think of the word. Like
Too weak.
not even that.
Too effeminate.
No, like the in the other like. I'm gonna have to think about that a little more. I guess I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Think about it. Think about it
He's
for a
a
minute.
little too House by the Cemetery for me.
A little bit, I guess.
I'm not even sure. I'm not even quite sure what that means.
The kid in House by the Cemetery, Bob.
Oh,
The bad dub.
Like
at least he's not. At least he's not like the kid in over Maximum Overdrive.
No.
Owen is the Hollywood budget actor. Oscar, I don't know. I could see the effort more. I guess.
Fair enough. All right.
Okay.
Look, this might sound odd, but I have a hard time feeling bad for Oscar.
I don't feel bad for either of them.
You made
Well,
I
the
do.
bullying
For
aspect,
Owen.
yes, but
And I think you're supposed to feel bad for Oscar, especially in times. But Owen shows those emotional scars, from being bullied on his face, while Oscar most of the time just kind of stood around with that look on his face.
sure.
Owen kind of looks like a young Phase there. If you took the beard and the mustache away, look at him.
Oh no, he does. He
can see
childhood
that.
pictures of me. He looks a lot like me.
I
Wow.
can see that. Oh, here comes the rain.
I don't have
baby.
one handy.
And like I mentioned earlier, the characters' motives are quite a bit different in the subtext, because even before Ellie shows up, like I said, I think Oscar was on the path of being a psychopath. So I don't really feel.
You can't say that though, man. How can
Yes, I can. That kid is one summer away from torturing a cat just for fun. One summer vacation away. He's probably already boiled the ants with his magnifying glass or the telescope.
I think he smacked Connie right upside his head and it was like, all right, I got it out.
But he felt glee when he does that.
But he wanted to tell, for sure, he had to tell his girl.
Sure, but Oscar feels glee for doing it, while Owen is just like, Jesus Christ, what have I done? And he starts to freak out again.
He still had. Well, he was kind of fronting when he was boasting to her about it. Yes. I
Yes,
agree.
of course. Oscar would have killed Connie and his friends if he could have figured out a way to get away with it.
Oh, sure.
I'll say that. I don't think Owen would have.
In a 12-year-old mind, and you've been bullied enough, dude, I can fucking see it. I don't see it like he would. I think it would stop with the destruction of his bullies, and he'd never speak of it again.
I don't know.
Like,
All right, sequel.
I had to turn this way so I could keep an eye on the weather since it is getting closer. But
I don't know with what these characters were supposed to become by the end, without spoiling too much. I mean, Oscar was definitely the more like believable. I mean, Owen is like every Hollywood movie's bullied child, whereas Oscar is like, yes, this person is gonna become a fucking psychopath. Like, you know what I mean?
Poor Oscar, man. I even feel worse for him now.
The crew, the viewers disagree with you, FaZe.
That's fine.
And I'd like to cover up your face while I show the comments. Tarek says, Owen for sure. I can see why someone would be more entertained by Oscar, but Owen felt more real. Grizzly says, I think it's easier to believe Owen being bullied. Joshua says, Owen for sure. Luke does agree with you, Ziggy. I don't know if he said this first or not, but he says, Oscar looks like the kid from House by the Cemetery.
Bob, man.
Christopher says, that haircut, though.
Oh, the Swedish special. That's the bowl cut, man.
Tarek says, Oscar didn't seem to react to the bullying realistically. Oscar felt more like brooding, but Owen was more realistic for the character's age.
I'll be honest. I wouldn't have been surprised if, Oscar would have walloped those guys before it came down to a metal pole, but terrified, petrified, immobilized.
And my new best friend Christopher says I have to agree with Crank there. So
God's sake. All right, fine. You guys need some ha-ha-ha-ha-has. There you go.
No, we don't need any.
Like, if both of these kids were presented in front of me, I would like Owen more. But for this character, it's more Oscar. That's where I'm leaning.
All right. Let's get into.
I hated Oscar in the pool. I can say that. Those scenes were like,
yeah. I could feel, yeah.
There were a lot of scenes of Oscar I didn't like.
In your fucking mouth, please.
Oh Lord! All right.
For the love of God, yeah.
Let's get into writing and direction. FaZe, I'll let you start. You got any thoughts?
Well, let me in. Did a whole lot of Control C and Control V, which for those of you that don't know, that's copy and paste. And
especially with the writing, yes.
And in the script, yeah. The direction, definitely a lot of different, directions there, especially in the beginning. What they chose to do with the intro scenes, the remake doing that sort of cold open type thing. I actually preferred that. Probably the first nice thing I'm saying about the remake so far. But I have a lot of shit to say about the original too. But it's just, I don't know. Two very different. The direction, not bad in the remake. The writing, I was not impressed.
Yeah.
You didn't do nothing, man.
I think those guys were saying, hey, we want this Americanized.
Yeah, and that's pretty much
it. I don't like Americanized things usually, especially when it's 2 years after the fucking original. Like, holy crap, dude, give it a little bit of time to age. Like,
yeah, man. I just remember going like, God damn it, you guys just can't fucking learn. It just doesn't work. And then this comes along and not bad.
It's okay.
Ziggy, anything about the writing and direction you want to add?
I think story driven for Swedish, very much so, and they just laid on that just this fascination of this of such a weird dynamic with a bully, a vampire, and dysfunctional family. It's great, We've already said Matt Reeves is a rising star. He's since this movie came out, he's done much, much bigger things, and he's not going anywhere. So,
he did a bunch of Planet of the Apes remakes, and of course, like you mentioned, The Batman from 2022.
Yeah,
sure.
And he's the next one he's doing.
And the next one coming out in 25 or 6, whatever.
Take your time with it, and please do. It's a Joker film. Let's do it right.
Thomas Alfredson, who made the original, has done a handful of films, but the most well-known outside of this one is Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. With
What?
Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy with Gary Oldman.
What? What did you say?
No, I got you.
Go fuck yourself. It's a Gary Oldman flick. You know it's got to be at least good.
I've seen just about every Gary Oldman because he's one of my favorite chameleons on the planet.
Yeah. I will say I like some of Reeves' direction more in Let Me In, and one of the main reasons, and I was trying to allude to this earlier, and I cut myself off because I wanted to save it for this. He gives the actors, especially the kid actors, he gives the actors room to breathe in their scenes, and he makes it okay. And he did the same fucking thing in The Batman. He makes it okay to fill the scene with silence and let the characters, react to something before they respond.
Mm.
And in the original, those scenes felt a lot more rushed, but there are just moments where there's nothing being said, and it's just as powerful especially with those two fucking actors, that it works. And I think that's where Chloe and Cody really shine in those quiet moments together. Now, on the other side, in Let the Right One In, Thomas Alfredson, he utilized a lot of wide shots and panning movements that really basic, but also kind of amateurish and indie. And it kind of, there are moments where it's a shot like that, and it kind of distracts me. Just technically it distracts me a little bit. So, but yeah.
Not at all.
Really?
His style tells a story so well, and while a lot of it basic textbook filmmaking, done well, and doesn't take you away from what's happening with the characters.
All right. Well, I mean, and I'm not saying it's not done well, but there are a couple of shots that I like from him. One is when Hakan is getting his first victim in Let the Right One In, and it's that wide ass shot of the woods, and he's just kind of standing there, like kind of hovering behind a tree, and then somebody comes jogging into the, and they're pretty much this size, on the screen, and you've got this whole other big screen of white and brown with the trees, and you see this guy come jogging in, and he's like, "Oh, hi, what's going on?"
The DPs both need to be commended because they both had some pretty nasty wide shots. Yeah, they were pretty cool. Oh God,
I never thought I'd bunny foo a recreation from Let the Right One In, but I guess I just did.
Nah.
That's all right. I knew what you meant when you did it.
You knew exactly what I meant.
Yeah. But yeah, and I'll tell you what. And Let Me In, the harvesting of blood was much rowdier.
No, yeah.
And cooler. So
yeah.
I think but I think they both had pretty cool visuals. I mean, shots and the things they picked. Yeah, obviously more based. This guy wasn't as seasoned when he made this, the original.
Well, neither was Reeves. He was a young director then, but
yeah, but he had already written a bunch of shit,
right?
And he directed, what was it? Fuck, I had it and I don't know now.
Yeah.
I looked at it earlier. I was like, really? He directed that?
Look it up. I'll do some comments.
All right.
Luke says, as a person bullied myself, I didn't show my reaction until I turned into a teenager and got into metal. Then I turned into a nightmare. All right.
The pallbearer.
Oh yeah,
with David Schwimmer.
yeah.
I don't know why the fuck I would know that, but I mean, I did see it, so.
Tarek says, agree with Faze on that one. The writing doesn't count because it's copy and paste, copy pasta. But directing was different and great in both. I say a tie.
Again, I came in here ready to fucking shred this thing. I mean, the new one saying like, you can't do it, but they did it.
Right. Alex says, as I said many times, you can't rewrite the same movie twice. The old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. And he also loves Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
See?
Mm-hmm. We'll get to that, Tarek. And let's see where we go with that. All right. What's the next topic? I don't even know. All right. Best scenes in both. Like, what is your favorite scene or two in the original, and what's your favorite scene or two in the remake?
Fuck.
That's actually a good question. Like,
who wants to start?
Should make Faze start.
I don't know. Like,
I'll let you guys think for a minute.
I mean, it's.
Do you know?
Do I know?
The Crank.
I have notes.
He's got 10 things written down. What are you talking about?
I have
fair enough.
Notes, dude.
Oh yeah, so there you go.
I came prepared, and I'm already 3 pages in.
Well, there you go.
I liked the bleeding scenes. I
like
thought
when she was not invited in.
The blood harvestings.
Oh, the bloodlet. Okay.
Yeah. I did like they stuck to that. Actually, vampire rules were in full effect with this movie. You know, sunlight and all that shit, as far as we know, anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the inviting a vampire in, and I was sitting there wondering, like, what is was this just like how did this become something? I have to figure that one out.
I was wondering that too. I didn't read that. No Dracula or interview. Like, what the fuck is that?
There's a
church thing.
I can't remember what it is, but I do remember, reading up on that at some point in my life. There is a reason that it is that way, but I can't remember what it is right this second.
Fair enough.
It's one of the pillars of vampirism, and I found myself thinking about that while we were watching it. But I mean, that was very cool. I dug it because I can't think of another film where a vampire walked in uninvited and started to melt.
That's a good point.
Didn't Dracula Dead and Loving It? Didn't Leslie Nielsen do some kind of parody on that?
How dare you compare that to a real vampire or Dracula movie?
He has a point.
You said no other vampire movie has done that. There's a vampire movie that I think did that, but I can't remember it right off the top of my head. Do you remember?
No.
All right. Damn it.
I would have to agree for Let Me In on the blood draining, the harvesting. It was really good.
When he stuck that dude.
Yeah, dude, that was so good.
It's a puncture, man, and it looks fucking right.
It looked good. For Let the Right One In, the one scene that popped in my head just because it made me laugh was like in the gym, I suppose, when dude like ties the kid upside down. It just kind of cuts to him already tied up upside down. It was a funny quick cut to me. It made me laugh. I like that. It's like, oh, already done. We don't get to see any of this process.
Nope. No blood for you.
And he's not even sweaty or nothing.
I found finding the bodies in the ice was disturbing pretty much in both accounts.
They were both good, yeah.
I like that it was the kids that find them.
Yeah, screaming their asses off. That's how it would be.
And that on different sides of like the world in the movie, like one kid screaming because he got the fucking shit smacked out of him with a metal pole, and then a bunch of kids are screaming because they found some dead body in the ice. And
teacher going, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
gym teacher's like, "What the fuck? Where do I go first?" Yeah,
I feel like they handled that better and Let Me In.
Yeah.
Another point for the remake.
Point for the Crank.
The inevitable ending was in the pool was pretty fucking cool. I mean, it could have been a little bloodier. but it was definitely effective. It's like cool. Just the save.
All right, some of my favorite scenes. One that's in Let the Right One In is actually a scene that's not even included in the remake, and it's when Ellie asks Oscar to be like me, and
For a while.
yeah, be like me for a while, and you get that sense that when she's locked into his head, she's in there and she's showing him like, here's some of what I've gone through over the last 200, 300 years.
That I really like that. That's true.
I love that scene. We get the feeling that he's experienced all this pain, trauma, in just a few seconds, and that's heartbreaking to me. I love that moment. Now, they actually did film this scene for the remake, but it got cut from the film. And they changed it just a little bit, which I don't necessarily want to say I like it better, but I appreciate what they were trying to do with it. And we have that scene right here. I'm going to throw it down here somewhere. So,
exclusive.
This work. Oh, no, it's going to go. Oh, we're going to go right there. So, I've muted it so it shouldn't do anything. But there is a moment here where when she does this scene and she's like, be like me. And again, you'll notice it's reverse from Let the Right One In.
Little phase. That's all I can see now.
In this, he sees her transformation. I think her being turned into a vampire. I think so. It's very bizarre. I'm okay with the fact that they took it out because see, here he is seeing through her eyes, and it's like this traumatic scene.
Yeah,
Again,
that was a good one.
Much simpler. She says, "Be like me" for a while, and you totally understand what she.
And you
means.
get it. Yeah. No, I like it. I like it better without this, but I wanted to show this just because I thought this was an interesting scene.
Glad they cut this.
In the remake, I think one of my favorite scenes is when Abby goes to visit Rakan in the hospital, and I think that whole sequence is absolutely fucking wonderful. Again, in the original, it feels forced, or not forced, but rushed.
Yeah.
And I like Owen's reaction at the end of the scene where he snaps out of it and he's just got that one solo tear going down his cheek. I think he does a really good job with that. And that should be about it. Hold on.
I think he's deciding right there, I am going to take care of you.
Right. Anyway, back to the hospital scene in the remake. I love when they're at the window together and you can see him kind of resign himself to her and be like, look, we knew it was coming one day. It's done. And he just kind of like bows his head over. Yeah, pretty much doing that.
I'm trying to find an old picture.
And Chloe and Abby doesn't just rush into it. She looks there for a minute, and you can sense that going through their history for the last 50, 60 years, however long they've been together. And it was a touching moment. I like that moment a lot. And like I said, Reeves gives his actors time to breathe, and that a lot of that scene is silent. Richard Jenkins can't talk at that point. He's acided himself out. By
the way, acid makeup looks good.
Yeah, in both movies though. I think in both movies it looks good. I prefer it in the remake, honestly, but I think it looks great in both movies.
They put a little more into the effects in the newer one.
Yeah. And we mentioned it earlier, but I do also like the scene where Owen finds the pictures of Abby and Hakan as a young man together.
Yeah.
You can say, oh, they're spelling too much out for the audience. They think the audience is stupid. You can say that if you want. I like that.
And then the second time I clicked on it, they've obviously taken a childhood picture of dude, or they at least made a young face and put it on that picture,
Mhm.
and it's fucking him.
I like that moment because the face that Owen makes when he realizes that's not her dad is, and he realizes it's someone just like him who's just grown older with her.
Next in line.
Yeah, his reaction at first, like, I don't want to fucking be this guy, wait. I like that a lot. They allude to a relationship of that sort in the original, and they don't spell it out, yes, and I appreciate that too. But I like where they took it with spelling it out in the remake. I think it just strikes a more emotional tone when you see that photo, and he's got that birthmark under his eye and everything. So, all right. Any other best scenes? Because if not,
yeah,
we can talk about the CGI cats and the worst scene.
Oh my fucking god, dude. There were some real cats, but like 95% of them were CGI, and this shit was ridiculous. Oh my god. I was pissed. I'm like, what is this shit?
When somebody mentioned CGI cats last week,
yeah,
I was like, huh. What CGI cats are they talking? And I was thinking of the remake. I had forgotten. I had blocked that fucking scene out from the original so bad.
I was like,
I could not believe it.
Why?
I couldn't believe it.
I hate that fucking scene. It didn't even need to be there.
Nope.
I liked the real cats that were shown earlier in the film, but
You
then
just
that
like
shit.
pussy.
I like cats, but fucking.
I know you like cats.
But fucking those fake ass CGI, if that fake ass face shit. Oh my god, dude, that was like some prey shit, bro.
When the cat is holding on to her like ankle or calf or something, and he rears back and then sinks his teeth into her leg. I'm
For
like,
fuck's
Jesus
sake.
Christ.
Isn't that something out of Prey for like what
It's
the
close.
hell?
The snake.
The snake did not
The
smile
snake.
at me in this movie.
This is true.
The cats must have a deeper meaning in the book somehow, somewhere.
I'm sure there's a great scene in the book, but it did not translate well in the movie.
Yeah. I think a lot of things did not translate well from the book to the movie.
Smartly omitted in the Let Me In movie.
What are the worst scenes you got there, Ziggy?
I didn't like that. Face kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, but the attack in the tunnel was CGI, dude. That was bullshit. That looks stupid.
In the new one, in the remake?
In the remake. Terrible choice.
Both the attacks were not good.
Yeah. They were capable of making some practical attacks there. That would have been just fine. But that's what they chose to do, and that's one of the things I knock on the remake.
Mm-hmm. Faze, any other one?
I don't know. I think those pretty much do it. I mean, I'm trying to think like like how the romance didn't do it for me, but no particular scene really like stuck out as terrible there. And like everyone said, it's just 12-year-old clunky romance. It's whatever.
We kind of briefly talked about this scene earlier, but in the remake, the fight at the ice pond, I didn't like that one. I didn't like that scene because I felt like that should have been a turning point for Owen, and it wasn't. It was almost just it was almost like the peak, and then he started going back down again.
Well, they were copying the script too much.
Well, no, like I said though, in the original, that was almost like a point of glee for Oscar, but in this one, he was more disgusted and scared.
I think probably afraid of retribution.
Yeah, but I felt like they should have played with that a little bit more in the remake and let his character actually grow a little bit, because I'll be honest, I really don't.
Yeah, but they show him like seeing his brothers call him the same thing he gets called. You know what I mean? He has empathy. I mean, Owen does.
Okay. I don't know.
They show him to it. I mean, he gets to see. He's like, wow. He totally like sits back like,
He's got it as bad as I do.
yeah, you know,
Yeah, but
has an epiphany, man.
I still don't buy that should have been a big moment for that character, and it was kind of blown off. And
Gnarly ass wound to the ear, a split ear, looked pretty good.
it was a great special effects.
It was good.
Dun, dun, dun,
My
dun.
mom sent me an old picture of me.
Oh,
I could try to show that off.
You got one?
I got one.
All right,
It's a little
let's see what we got
blurry.
here. Hold on.
I
Let
have
me
to
get
remove the
rid of
worst
that.
scene.
holy fuck, it's him.
Isn't
rid
it
of that
though?
overlay.
It's him.
Hold on. Go to your right just a little bit.
That's my
No.
left.
The other right.
Really? You
Yeah.
need my right?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Put it right there. Now
There we go.
closer.
Turn it. Oh, wait.
Boom.
Oh my god, man. It's fucking him, dude. Wow.
All right, your
pretty
phone
good.
died.
Yeah, I have like a 10-second screensaver.
That's funny. I just wanted to get the pictures side by side for a
Yeah.
second, but that's pretty good.
Wow. Not
All
only
right.
wow. Sorry.
God damn it. All right. I was going to look at some of the comments here.
Let's comment. What do you think, folks? Are we right? Are we wrong? Are we just out of touch? I got something that was kind of weird to me that I don't know, you know, you didn't seem to bring this one up, but the scene when she comes over and changes her bloody clothes.
Oh, and fucking let the right one in. Yeah, they show you her fucking weird deranged pussy. I fucking hated that. Like, what was that?
Time out on the weird deranged pussy talk.
But seriously, though, what was that shit?
You don't know what that was?
I did not like that. No, I did not know what that was. This is a 12-year-old character,
Ziggy?
supposedly. That
Ziggy?
upset me a little bit.
Do you know what that is?
What, am I not up on my vampires enough to know what the fuck's going on there?
No. There's a line.
I missed it then.
There's a line where she says, well, and they say it in the remake too, what if I wasn't a girl?
Well, yeah, but then what is that supposed to be?
Ellie was Elias. And according to in the book, when she was attacked and turned into a vampire, she was also castrated.
Okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
Still, I don't like the
And
idea
that's
of showing us a
that's the only
naked
moment.
child.
Right,
That's the part that really
only
upset
moment.
me.
Well, I doubt that was her. That
Well,
was
no,
probably-
it wasn't. It's just
No.
the implication.
The implication is bad.
The idea
I'm
that this 12-year-old is looking at another 12-year-old naked, sort of, kind of.
Oh yeah, but you know, even in the story, it's fine. But they did it in Let Me In, but they show Owen, not the fucking full screen in your face, dude.
They do get.
Right.
Talk about
It's disgusting.
face.
It's.
My face. I mean, it's. I was always
I was not.
myself in a dark room going like instant pedophile all over you like a cloud, man.
I know. Like, what is this
Yeah.
crap? Like,
You almost expect.
every pedophile says the same shit. Fuck.
I'm just watching a movie.
I'm just watching a movie. Oh shit! They say that too.
And all of a sudden, excuse federal agent,
yeah,
would like to
right.
come in.
Knock, knock, knock. It's like, come on, man.
I got a big picture fucking window in my living room. You can see it from the fucking street. I could totally come up and knock on the door and get me, man. It was crazy.
Excuse me, Ziggy. I'm Chris Hansen. Why don't you have a seat?
Have a seat.
No kidding, dude.
Oh, don't say cookie. Shh.
Like Chris Hansen, that's how I felt like he's going to be knocking up on this fucking Ellie and whatever the remake name was, because she ain't no 12-year-old girl hitting on these kids. Like, what's going on here? This whole movie had me creeped out.
It was a trip, dude, when that happened. I mean,
There was a little bit of sexualization of the minor characters and minor actors in both of these films at the time.
Oh, certainly. Like a lot of very low dressed scenes. Even like, it was weird.
It
I mean,
was a little weird, yeah.
context of the story. It's
But I understand it for the story.
that one quick shot. I know Sweden's all laid back. I said it before. You know, but that was like, holy shit. You know, I mean, they know that's going to get released here. What the fuck, man?
Mhm. I'm surprised that wasn't like a problem.
I'm surprised it wasn't snipped out.
Like blurred or snipped, yeah.
Yep.
I would have preferred that.
Well, I understand why that scene is there for the story, especially, and some of the other sexualization. I mean, this is a 12-year-old that is 200 and something years old, but
like I
she's
said,
still emotionally and physically a 12-year-old. She's learning more. She's just not growing.
You'll never convince me that a being that is 50 years old is physically or emotionally 12 and then is okay to then be romantically involved with another 12-year-old. That just doesn't work in my head.
Well, the scene where it is, I think, a little too much that you were talking about, but I guess, you know, I mentioned what that is. He was neutered.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I've been doing a lot of research the last couple of days too, so I actually want to find the book, or I wanted to find the book until I read that part, and I was like, maybe I don't want to read.
Maybe I don't. Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to read this book.
Right. All of a sudden,
That's not how it works. That's not how any of this works.
Yeah.
Now, Chloe Grace has said in other interviews that in Hollywood she was sexualized early in her career, like by the time she was 15 or maybe even younger. It confused her at the time. She had also been a victim of some online body shaming just a few years ago, which caused her to avoid the spotlight for years. She's recently come back with that show on Prime Video, Peripheral, in which I think it was canceled, though, after only one season because of the writers and actors strikes. So, you know, and along with some of the other shit that we hear coming out of Hollywood, especially when it comes to, you know, Nickelodeon and Disney and all that shit, it's not that big of a surprise. But, you know, it is weird. It is weird.
like I said, I just didn't expect to have a full screen of that.
Right. Let me hit this real quick because Michael wants to know, are we coming to Texas Frightmare this year? Not this year, unfortunately. If you weren't, I was thinking about it up until about 2:33 a.m. a Saturday morning. After I had a rainstorm come through and ruin at least $1,000 worth of equipment that I need to replace by 2 days from now. So probably not going to make it.
Colonel's busy. I'm sapped up with work through into July. So yeah, we're kind of, you know, we're on the shelf right now as far as getting to the cons, but we will be back. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
Fuck. I feel better now that I got that out.
All right, here we go. Tarek says the way it's rationalized, and take it for what it's worth, is that the frontal lobe, Jesus Christ, that was you. Okay. The emotional and decision-making center isn't developed in a 12-year-old. They're not going to mature if it doesn't physically develop, so they could be smarter but still 12. There we go. Gotcha.
That's fine.
That makes sense. Makes sense to me.
Put it in the script somewhere then.
Tarek, have a reason.
All right, we got to talk about the big deal, and we've kind of touched on it because I think it's a lot of people's favorite scenes in one version or the other.
Sure.
The finales.
Yep.
The pool scene. Here's one place where I did actually like the original better. I like the way they did the final slaughter scene in the original better. I will say that. The imagery is more graphic and powerful, especially staging it in that one solid shot.
Yeah.
You see little, but you hear everything, and then see pieces of the body, especially the arm that's holding the head down.
Yeah.
When it jolts and then just drifts into, like, you know, severed into the frame.
It's beautiful.
Now, they tried to recreate it for the remake, and I do like the touch that, like, before everything, all the shit starts to go down, you see this shower of glass hit the pool. And I think that's a cool fucking visual. You see that, and then it's just like, then you start seeing recreations of the original. And I have to admit, I like the original better.
They should have put a little more blood in there when that was especially when the dude's head came off. You know, I mean,
Right.
Sure. Yeah. Could have used a little more.
Or when Oscar comes out of the out of the surface, that water should be red on pretty much all the way around him.
I'm willing to bet that was one of those things where it's like all the takes weren't going right. They're like, all right, we're on take 7. We're like out of blood now, so we just got to work with what we got. We got to get this right. Like,
Maybe.
Come on now. I don't know. That's my guess.
Maybe. Finales phase. Which one do you like best?
Definitely the original. But for all the same reasons, pretty much. Yeah, I really like that still shot. The part that really stuck out to me were the 2 legs getting dragged back. That really played with your imagination a little bit. Like, what's going on over the water? What is she actually doing to him?
Well,
that was
and
really
then
cool.
As soon as the legs come up, the head comes back down into
Fuck
the water
yeah,
too.
the head goes down. Oh,
Yep.
dude, it was entertaining. It was good.
Well, and I think that was the first time we'd ever seen anything like that. Like that kind of scene. I know we've seen copies of it since in other movies, not just the remake, but in other movies we've seen stuff like that. But
I don't watch enough movies to know.
I want to say Night Swim had a similar kind of shot.
Sure. I believe it. I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Ziggy Monster.
Ziggy, favorite finale.
I did appreciate in the newer one, like when they were getting dragged through the water, you could see Kenny's face. It was just pure shock. It was kind of neat when he went by. But the original had it, man. It was just like, it was kind of a great payoff, and that she came back to get him and help him and kind of solidify that they did need each other. And it was all kind of spelled out right there. And I dug it, man. So original one.
All right. So all original for that one, it sounds like. We kind of touched on this especially with the sexualization conversation, I think, but cultural relevance. And Ziggy's talked about this a lot with not understanding Swedishness.
Yeah.
So
Swedishness.
I'm making up words now. Why not?
Why not?
I like the themes that are explored in both films, really. It's a love story pretty much first and foremost, and the connection between the main characters is played out well. And one thing I did notice is they do kind of allude in a way to, this may not be the proper term, but alt relationships. Especially when we talk about it earlier. Ellie asked Oscar, would you like me if I wasn't a girl?
Right.
Now I don't know if that necessarily counts as representation or inclusion.
I think it was accidental, like before its time kind of thing. Like
incidental.
I don't think that is the direction they were trying to go.
Well, I don't know. I think it could be interpreted as that.
If it was, they were being real subtle with it.
Sure.
And I think that aspect was handled well, However, I do not like the sexualization of kids. A little too much of that in this.
Again, and that's Sweden for you, and I found it was.
I wasn't aware of that.
Shocking.
I've always known Japan to be the one to sexualize kids, but here we go. There's other countries again.
Shockingly different culture, and it's funny because I feel like Japan, I can relate more to how they live their lives over there, and how their day-to-day lives go and stuff. I'm just not
the urban aspect of it, sure.
Yeah, we've seen it so much over the years. I mean, and Sweden not so much. So it was definitely a shock.
Yeah, a lot of the foreign films, tend to push those limits when it comes to sexualization of just people, children included, though, and that, that's a little bit weird for me.
Nope, they're gonna come and find out you've watched. Oh, you saw Let the Right One In? Get up on the fucking wall right now.
Nah.
Let me scan your search.
Did you
history.
like it?
Let me check your browser history.
What's your favorite scene?
Mm-hmm.
Damn it.
All right. Anything culturally to talk about here? We've kind of already covered most of it.
Relate to the American over the Swedish. That's the
All
general.
right. Let me in. Had the forest, It had the arcade machine. It had the do you know where your kids are at 10 p.m. thing. Had a few other little things sprinkled in there. Very forced, in my opinion, but
it was, but it also sets. I think it sets a tone, and the "Do you know where your kids" thing is? I already talked about how great a fucking shot that is. I
like that one.
I don't care if it was forced or not. It looked good and it served its purpose, because it had that ironic moment of, do you know where your kids are, as the reflection is showing your kid disappear in the night. So
We take place in New Mexico, right?
shot in Albuquerque, by the way.
It snows like that in New Mexico?
Yeah.
Wow, man. It's like I didn't thought it'd get deep snow like that up there.
Oh, it gets cold in the desert. It's
area.
Temperature polarizes like that.
It's just shocking to think of when we were there and it was 115 degrees outside.
Yeah. It works both ways.
Yeah.
But it's a dry heat. No, we were all supposed to say that.
Is it a dry cold too? Probably.
That's right. All right. Last couple of topics. Staying power of the films. Does Let the Right One In have more staying power than Let Me In? Ziggy.
I'll say yes because you always go to where it started it all, man. And that's the one that we wouldn't have Let Me In without Let the Right One In. It's as simple as that. And obviously because they made the same fucking movie. So, yes, that's Let the Right One In for me.
Phase.
Honestly, I don't feel like either of these have a lot of staying power, but Let the Right One In would have more. Apparently, Let Me In has a sequel. So that one ended up having more staying power technically, but I don't know. Just neither of them appealed to me that much, I guess, in the end. And there were certain scenes that I like, but in a whole, I don't know. Staying power wise, I don't think either of them have any, but agree with Ziggy. The original would have more.
All right.
Good vampire tales, man.
I mean, maybe that's just my salty opinion because of the things that I don't like about these films,
Baze does not want 12-year-old vaginas on his
screen,
period.
Or, implied vaginas or...
Period. I meant...
fucking...
Exclamation point.
Yeah.
There ain't no period at the end of that.
Question mark?
The phallus. No, you can't say that.
Question mark?
No, that's got the fucking tickler on it, man. Are you crazy?
God damn it.
Turn it up. Put it on a bottle rocket.
Oh, my God. We just lost 2 subs.
Oh, my God.
All right. This is one of those rare occasions where I think both films stand up over time. And one of the reasons I would recommend both to new viewers. If you haven't seen either, I'd recommend watching both. And then choose your favorite after that if you want. I do like them both. I give them both very high ratings. If you want to pick one over the other, that's up to you after you see both of them.
Sure.
These are one of those that I would almost watch both of these together every time I wanted to watch one. You know what I mean?
I could see wanting the flavor of one over the other, but I don't know about watching them back to back.
I think most, and I've done this before when I've watched these movies. When somebody recommended Let the Right One In, I think I found Let Me In first and thought, maybe that's what they meant. And then, found that was original and ended up watching both of them like in the same night. I've done that with these movies before. And I did it again a couple of times this week. So, but I think both of them are worth sticking around for. So, all right, last, the final and most important question of them all.
Oh, of course.
Did we need a remake?
Did we need to copy and paste the fucking script? No.
Hold on. Hush, Praise. Ziggy.
I think there's enough cultural differences to where you can do this and get away with it. And if you do it the right way like this, then yes, sure. I'd have probably given it 5 years minimum before I would have thought about it, but that's just me. It might have been a time limit on their rights of the script or whatever, so
on the option or something.
yeah.
I can feel that.
FaZe, you want to jump in on that?
I could agree with Ziggy with the cultural differences. There is a reason, for there to be a remake there, if one to be made. I just hate how similar the script ended up being. Like Grizzly just said, need is kind of loaded. I mean, we certainly didn't need one. Certainly not 2 years fucking later. I would prefer like 10, maybe 10 years later, a remake would have been all right.
Okay, I'm gonna ask the question I did at the beginning of the night. Had either of you seen this movie I'll even say in 2010? Had either of you seen this movie in 2010? The original.
Both for the first time last night.
Both for the first time last night.
Yep.
Ziggy, do you happen to remember approximately what year you would have seen either of these?
Again, I believe I had the DVD sent to me for the first one. And I fucking want to say I went to the theater, but I have no recollection of seeing it and having like a positive memory of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
I would not have seen the original by 2010. At that point in my life and what I was doing at that time and the amount of movies I was not going to, or I was going to, which was very few or zero, I would not have seen the original by 2010. I may have seen, the remake at some point if I hadn't gotten into Death Curse Society. But yes, I say yes, we did need a remake. How many Swedish films had you seen in 2010, Ziggy? FaZe?
Yeah, none.
Zero.
None? Yeah.
That I know of, at least.
I wasn't a big fan of foreign films until we started the DCS, and I started kind of expanding my knowledge and becoming more of a genre cinephile. Some of the best horror does come from overseas, and I get that now. But now seems a lot more different than in 2010. We didn't have streaming where 90% of the movies that have ever been made are available at our fingertips.
Right.
What were you going to do? What were your methods of finding a movie in 2010? Either the Netflix, like you're talking about, having something sent to you.
Video stores are still surviving.
Video stores were on the way out.
They were.
But you had your Coke machine video stores, your Redbox or whatever.
I used those a lot back then.
I think if it wasn't for streaming and, if Let Me In had not been made, I think Let the Right One In would have probably been lost a little bit, at least until streaming made it easier to find.
Yeah,
I disagree. I don't remember where I read about it, but I remember reading about it and get high praise. And this is something that needed to be made, and
it was probably in a Fangoria or something, and it was probably Fangoria covering Let Me In, and just discussing that it's a remake of a Swedish film that's getting very high marks and praise.
That's right.
So, I don't remember the context of the articles.
That's my point exactly, is would Let the Right One In be as loved if there wasn't an American remake? Because I doubt 90% of American movie-going audiences go to, look for Swedish horror films.
No. I don't remember them mentioning an American remake at that time, but who knows? Who knows, man? It's a long time ago.
I made the point earlier about like the last few times I've gone to a movie with somebody and Speak No Evil, the trailer for that one comes on. And I mentioned that's a remake from a couple of years ago. And they're like, oh, I've never heard of it. And I'm like, well, yeah, because it's a German film or whatever. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, I probably wouldn't watch a German film anyway, or whatever, And they're like, yeah. So, I think the remake only helped the original. At least get a little bit of popularity or whatever. Now, is it better? Not to everybody. I think the original is great, but I think the remake is better. But 89% of the people that contacted us on YouTube disagree with me and think that the original is better. And most of the time I would say that, but I also am trying not to be that kind of critic that is always like, well, the original is always better. I'm trying not to be that person,
Sure.
So
I just think there's
but most of the time it is.
Yeah, a little more simplicity and a little more grit here in this Swedish version, and I think that's why it's yeah, man, they're so fucking close. It's so silly.
It is. I lean towards the remake because the things I hate in the remake, I hate less than the things I hate in the original. That's purely it.
Wait a minute. You like the remake better? Faith?
By the slightest of all margins.
Okay. Ziggy, what were you saying?
I stuck with the original.
You stuck with the original?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me measure hairs here. Like you say, by the narrowest of margins, Faith.
Because the remake didn't have a close-up pussy shot. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So 55-45, is that what you're saying?
More like
51-49?
51, yeah.
Okay. 51-49.
Like it's that close.
So literally by a pussy hair.
If Let Me In wasn't a copy and paste script, it would be a lot further. And yes, that took me a minute. That's terrible, bro.
You're welcome.
Damn. But yeah, no. If it wasn't for the script being copied and pasted, Let Me In would be a lot higher. But no. But the fact that it doesn't have that ridiculous scene in it, Let Me In wins a point. 1 point.
I just keep seeing Ziggy's reaction. Just
Uh,
all right, Ziggy. How about you? By what kind of margin are we talking that you like the original? 60-40? 70-30?
Yeah. Like 65-35.
65-35. You got really
Okay.
quiet.
I
Did you
did.
get quiet?
you got far from your mic is what happened.
I turned this way. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm facing this way. But yes.
Well, I've got a extra sound coming through right now, so that may have been part of it too, because I think the rain has begun.
Is that your Remix playing?
What would I? Okay, clearly, like I said, I like the remake better than the original. I love them both. I would probably give them both 8s or 9s, or 8 and a 9, somewhere in that respect. But they would both be 8s and higher, which is like my top tier movies. But if anybody were to ever say to me, hey, should I watch this one or that one when it came to this, I would say watch both.
I would
probably say watch both in the same sitting.
Oh, see, that's
tough because it's like the same fucking. I hated watching both in the same sitting because it was like watching the same fucking thing twice.
I took a day off in between, and it wasn't as bad. It was very familiar, though.
I would prefer like a couple of years in between, personally, like a refresh.
Holy shit! Ouch. All right. Tarek says absolutely did not need a remake, but that doesn't mean the remake was bad. Grizzly says need is loaded. Was it done well? I think so.
Sure.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah. Tarek also says, I think if Let Me In had never gotten made, a remake would have happened another decade later and likely would have been a total butchering of the plot. I have a feeling David Gordon Green and Danny McBride would have gotten a hold of this and written like a trilogy legacy sequel.
You're kind of right. Yeah, there are a lot of wrong hands this could have ended up in.
I'm gonna go get this peanut butter off my penis.
And
Damn it.
And Oscar is played by Sebastian Bach as an aging vampire.
The first, I was thinking Finn Wolfhard. And what kind of budget we're talking here, you know? We might be a little late now. He's getting older.
All right. Jesus Christ. Christopher says the remake is better in this instance because it broadened the audience while it was still fresh. I watched both on Netflix when Let Me In came out. Probably wouldn't have watched the original otherwise. That's kind of my point exactly from the discussion earlier.
And there's a lot of people who are going to say that same thing.
Yeah. Grizzly says, split for me. Usually go with the original, but this time watch the remake first, so that might be part of it as well.
He's right. That matters.
It does matter. And I think I'd originally... No, I take that back. I saw the original first, and then I think I immediately watched the remake and liked the remake better.
I definitely saw the original one first.
Tarek says remake was easier to digest, so yeah, 60-40 remake.
Okay. That's not a bad argument either.
And this is a point. It's definitely an American point, but this is a point. Paula says, do you want to read your movie?
Doesn't bother me.
Subtitles.
I watch every movie, everything with subtitles if it's an option.
Yeah,
it doesn't hearing, so I like it.
And Grizzly kind of agrees. Well, he kind of has to. They're married. Usually I like watching my movies and not reading them.
Okay.
Oh, God. And Lorena shows up just in time to hear, got to get the peanut butter off my penis. What did I miss?
She probably doesn't remember that line from Halloween 2018, but that's what we were making fun of.
Yeah.
Danny McBride's writing, pretty much.
Yeah, there you go. Well, out of context, though, you talking about peanut butter on your penis is almost as bad as seeing, full-fledged 12-year-old non-vag crevices on your screen.
It was forced pedophilia, and I didn't ask for it.
Yeah, forced pedophilia that nobody asked for. Nobody asked for.
But there wasn't anything there. It was stitches.
Well, right. It's still disgusting. It's still crotch. It's still supposed to be a 12-year-old. Sorta. Like, it's just... It's too much for me, man. It makes me angry.
I forgive them, but I understand his rage.
I do too. This is interesting. Tarek said someone should make a scene-for-scene cut of both films. Flip back and forth every scene would be interesting.
Oh, that'd be an undertaking, but brilliant.
It could be done, though. And you would see the mirroring that Matt Reeves does of the original film. It's bizarre. Dude, it's disturbing once you catch it.
Sure. I'll just do a close-up of my armpit for the vagina scene.
Wait, what? Or no,
like,
do
like this. No,
do
like
this.
Yeah, you got to stick it out.
Do this where you like.
Oh my God.
Sick fuck.
I used to, if I ever had my arms crossed like this, like, just like when I was working or whatever, there used to be this door guy that would come over and like just immediately start drilling in between my elbow crevice. It was hysterical.
I prefer using the ass as the fake boobs, like in South Park. Just draw a couple circles, you got boobs. Put a bra on it.
There we go. Tarek says, it was made to disturb the fuck out of you, and I have some news. It worked.
What?
It's the age thing that upset me, but yes, the look of it certainly disturbed me. Sure, I don't know what the hell I was supposed to be looking at. It's and castration just seems weird to me too. It doesn't even look like that to me necessarily.
Well, no, none of that was implied either in that movie. But I mean, what we need there is like one of those old school movies where they had the sound that would go before something heavy would happen, or they had the one with the glove, like Boarding House. It would go like this on the camera and shit, and then you knew something heavy was going to happen, and then bam, vagina.
Bam, vagina.
Bam, vagina. It's what it was.
All right. Well, there you go, folks. That's I think my score would be like 70 or 70-30 remake. I think I'd lean that far. But again, I like them both. They're both high 8 and up on my rating score. So, yeah. Luke says he's going to watch both of them tonight. Good for you, Luke. I'm interested to get yelled at you later by after you watch them.
Just remember, man.
And BK says, and then they got canceled.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Lorena says, bam. Christopher says,
Bam.
forced pedophilia, elbow abuse. What kind of show is this?
I was wondering when I was watching these movies, like I did not realize this is the kind of movies these were.
See, this should be our next commercial. Viewers want to know. Forced pedophilia, elbow abuse. What kind of show is this?
I'm not
It's
making that
Death
fucking
Curse
commercial.
Society.
You can edit that.
I can edit that.
Bam up there.
I'm not making it.
That was close.
Do
I
what?
almost lost the contents of my mouth when you put the bam up there.
Bam!
Bam.
Bam! Vagina! Or no, how about this? Bam! Chinchilla!
Yeah, that's more fitting, I think.
She does have one.
Damn it. God damn it. All right.
Fucking A, man.
Oh, well, that was fun.
Yeah. There you have it.
I got to get passionate for once on the show. I don't think that's ever happened before.
Yeah,
Yes.
you got a little wild and out up in there.
A little heated.
A little bit.
Don't shove pussy in my face, man.
I'm okay with it most of the time, honestly.
Yeah. I think we have a segment coming up. You know, it's going to be name the age of that vagina with phase.
No.
No. What the fuck?
Now that'll get you canceled.
Oh.
That is a problem.
Hi, I'm Chris Handsome. Face, won't you have a seat right over there?
Stay over here.
Phase? No, that was the Ziggy said that.
I said it, but I meant 18 and over. You can
Oh,
tell
sure.
Jesus
differences between
Christ.
the various
Oh, my God.
levels. Take it from me.
Somebody had a comment way earlier. I'm trying to find. And then we can move on to the end. Here.
This is the end.
I'm probably not going to be able to find it. Wait, is that it? No. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to find it. Anyway, somebody was saying, I think it was Rick, said something along the lines of, this format will be fun whenever we get to Nightmare on Elm Street, which honestly...
who did say that? Yeah, I think Christopher commented something on
Was
that.
it Christopher something? Okay.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was supposed to be what was here tonight. But since we'd gotten on this kid vampire kick, we decided to do this instead. But
it's funny. I thought I was going to get a break from getting pissed off about pedophile shit. Because, we're not watching the Nightmare remake? Thank God. Nope, not getting a break from that.
well, not yet.
It's coming. Got a few things coming up pretty cool.
Yeah. We actually have a Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh, we're gonna dust off the internet online version of the internet's only online trivia horror game show, Curse Your Luck, coming back to the airwaves on June 3rd. So if you want to play, go to the page and register, baby. We'll get that set up for you.
Actually, it's already set up.
Is it set up?
Ooh.
I will throw up a link.
But yes, grand prize will be a wreath provided by Bell's Fancy Creations with a catch. You get to pick the subject.
That's right.
How cool is that, man?
Yeah. When we say custom horror wreath, you get to pick what you want customized.
I say the subject. I don't know what they're going to put into it, but they're going to do the subject you want. Now,
Right.
if you want
You pick a movie. If you want to, yeah.
if you want
Get
it,
a little.
I'm sure they can offer you some tiers and stuff, but it's just very cool. That's June 3rd. Get your trivia hat out. Learn your trivia stuff we're going to play. And we're going back to the old format like we did here. So there'll be 4 players.
Yep.
Then 3 players. Then 2 players. And then our winner.
Oh no, Tarek, not the subject of the trivia.
No,
The
theme
whatever
of
the
your
prize
wreath,
is.
your prize.
Yeah, the theme of the
yeah,
prize.
the wreath. So, say you love Nightmare on Elm Street, you would ask for a Nightmare on Elm Street wreath. You love Phantasm or something like that, or let's just keep it easy. Friday the 13th. Yes, for Friday the 13th, and then
Star Trek.
they'll take it from there.
Yep. Star
It doesn't
Trek
have to be
behind
horror.
Phase.
It doesn't have to be horror.
Right, right.
And FaZe has already thrown the link up there in the comments, so go on in and sign up now. We're not sure. I'm not exactly sure when the Nightmare on Elm Street comparison topic will be up, but it's probably a month or so away or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely probably next. I would think
It's next on our original versus remake lineup. Yes. All right. And then next week, like we were talking about earlier, guys. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Arena. Bam! Vagina wreath.
So at the same time, Terex is funny too.
It'd be a little bit. It may not be quite round.
Oh no.
Winner be getting a little My Little Pony wreath.
Yeah. She would make one, man, if you asked for it.
Oh Lord. All right.
the theme song on loop.
Oh no.
Little pony.
No,
If you want
please
to
don't.
torture somebody, sure.
Next week, folks, we have 42nd Street Pete coming in to join us and talk about Grindhouse,
That's
sleaze, horror, his life, his loves, his
Some of the actors
longings.
he's worked with.
I don't know. I'm just making stuff up. Maybe we'll ask him which one he likes better. Let the right one in or let me in.
I'm telling you, he right when we first started getting turned on to what he was doing over there with his magazines, and he had a whole tribute magazine to Sid Haig and his life and career. Motherfucker, I went through this whole I've been reading for 2 hours going through this magazine, going through the stuff he had. So very cool. Yeah. I'm excited to talk to this cat.
Yeah, it should be a very interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to it as well. So that will be next week. Join us at 8 p.m. Eastern on Monday, and we'll see you then. One last time, we want to thank our final girls and guys and all of our members, Chris, Lorena, BD, and Tyrone, our Crazy Ralphs, Bell's Fancy Creations, Dr. Smiley, Raymond, and the whole damn Enchilada Pod. And, of course, our camp counselors, 42nd Street Pete, Corey, Luke, Jimmy and Rachel, Stacy Lynn, Orlando, Patricia, Kristen, and JJ.
Oh, sorry. I was waiting for you to push the old one, and we got...
I can't get to the other one now.
I know.
All right. And if you want to become a member, check out Death Curse Society at deathcursesociety.com. You swing on over to the membership page. Maybe do that after you sign up for Curse Your Luck and see what kind of tier you're interested in. Check them out. And, of course, always thanks to our associate producer, C. FaZe. Damn, man, you made it through the whole fucking show.
Wow. Oh, just like that. Zing! He's out of there.
The feds want to talk to you anyway about that 12-year-old vag.
FaZe, have a seat here.
That was good.
Have a seat.
Oh, good Lord.
It's like the episode of South Park where they got right to the end. It's like, something's weird here. Kenny just realized, I'm not dead. Yay.
FaZe, send them out for the night.
Hey, that was a fun one, guys. Thanks for tuning in and watching. I was seeing a good 20 people that whole time. Thanks for watching me get a little passionate about bullshit. But, I hope y'all have a great rest of the night. These two fuckers are assholes. I love them, though. And, Ziggy, send them out.
Fuck yeah, man. Summertime, we're rolling in, but Curse Your Luck coming at you right back here, right where it all started. I'm fucking stoked for that. And we got a ton more shit. Of course, half of it we can't even talk about yet, but trust me, it's going to be sick. See you soon. Yeah. Next week, 42nd Street Pete, bitches.
That's right. Yep. That's all I got to add on that. I'll for the Colonel, as always, don't get sick. Wash your dick. And we'll catch you next week. Woo!
Rock and roll!
just won't get paid. These are the days when you wish your bed was already made. It's just another manic Monday. I wish it was Sunday, 'cause that's my fun day. Why I don't have to run day. It's just another manic Monday. I wish it was Sunday, 'cause that's my fun day. It's just another manic Monday.
Ah!